Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing this evening? I am your planetary defense commander, Star-Lord New Thor 7 the T. I went to bed in a good mood, and I woke up and the world was falling apart and on fire again. And so these are incredibly unstable times. And I gotta admit, I find comfort and joy in hanging out with y'all. Hello. And so, yeah, I get that the energy is highly susceptible. And so, cheers. It's strange how, March was a hell of a month, y'all. What up, yo? March was a hell of a month. And I think in February, March, and April, I went through two 1.75 liters of whiskey. And I drank them in front of y'all on camera. But it was like shit was so fucking crazy. I'm not back to whiskey. I haven't bought whiskey since like April. But the fact that I drank beer and then went to sleep, and then I wake up and within an hour or two or three, I'm back to drinking beer. Like I said, the world is a fucking crazy fucking place filled with angry people that are confused, that like to take the world as we know it and simplify all the blame and troubles. I'm glad you got you some bourbon, because that's like, I don't know. There are always going to be people who disapprove of other people. And, like I said, look, man, I'm sitting at home. I ain't going nowhere. And it's a crazy world. Like, I always talk about how Twitter is like the danger room in the X-Men, where it's like literally there for fighting. And so you just gotta log on to Twitter for like an hour, and it's just a bunch of angry people and shit all fucked up, and it's, we're watching like the old order, the old system just fucking collapse before our eyes. And that people are doubling down on madness. But I've stated this since like 2017 that like some people and some groups don't know how to change. They don't know how to evolve. They don't know how to adapt. They only really know how to do their one fucking thing. And so they just do that one thing until the wheels come off. And so that's what I feel like we're witnessing right now. Man, I've discussed, I lost my dad in 2006. I lost my stepfather in 2018. Death is all a fucking round. Like, I think growing up, my dad and I watched the movie Brian's Song with Gale Sayers and Brian Piccolo. Or is that the character's name? And then Gale Sayers was one of our favorite running backs. And so that, I know I cried earlier today because I missed my dad and my stepdad, and that Gale Sayers passed away. That death is all around us, man. And with Saturn retrograding back to Pluto, getting there on the 28th, this week is going to be fucking nuts. And then the 2 weeks after that are going to be fucking crazy. And that death is going to be everywhere. And so, like I've said to y'all, I feel comfortable kind of hanging out in my foxhole, although it's kind of maddening I feel more comfortable staying here for the next 40 to 60 days as much as possible. And that when the world calms down in December, then hell yeah, I'm gonna be ready to run around and be smart and, but I know that there are great injustices out there. And there have been for a long time. But the idea of protesting right now is like the dumbest fucking shit ever, in my opinion. And by protesting now, for whatever reason, you only create a situation for provocateurs and agenteurs to take advantage of. And so I think protesting right now is fucking super dumb. I think holding giant rallies right now is super fucking dumb. But you know what? You may think, you know what, Thor? You rolling tobacco and smoking it on camera is super dumb. Maybe it is. But it's what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we're at. And I go back to the point in Saturday Night Live before the lockdowns came. I was calling Yost and Che. And he was, he turned his hat back around. And he was drinking, like, whiskey on set, on camera. It's like, whoa! And so this is like, tonight's that whoa! This is definitely that whoa energy. But I love you guys. I have enjoyed this journey as much as I could for the last 8 years. And the whole time I've been like, hey, y'all, why don't we work together as a team to do cool stuff? And that hasn't been a very popular stance. And so it definitely totally feels very John Wicky or Satori Ray Jonesy, where like, this is the battle of the gods. This is the battle of all the planets. This is the battle of... And to me, it feels like Mars is like, hey man, I am the greatest planet in the solar system. And I put it this simply in a way where like, Aries is like the youth. And Capricorn is like the old people, old system. And as Generation X, I feel like I'm stuck between the Aries millennials, and then I think, people 35 and under have definitely been a major power player in the whole social media and digital age. That you have the baby boomers. So it's this weird fucking war between Aries millennials and the baby boomers. But in many ways, both sides are like working together to try and get whatever their point is or get whatever they want. And it feels like as Generation X, we've just been like having to defuse this bomb again and 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 again. So I got 30-year-olds who are like, destroy the left. And 80-year-olds who are like, destroy the left. And 30-year-olds who are like, destroy the right. And 80-year-olds who are like, destroy the right. I'm just like, man, y'all are fucking crazy. And my heart goes out to the people who weren't born or don't have the natural coolness through it all. To like have your own surfboard that you can cling to during the biggest waves when you can't even stay on top. I will state this again. I don't hate anyone. I'm not angry at anyone. And I don't blame anyone for the situation I or we are all in. And so during this super tumultuous time, thank you, Fed Up in Indiana. I love you too. So during this super tumultuous time, I'm in a weird state of balance and peace. Like, hey, I could die tomorrow. Civilization could fucking collapse next week. Or we will probably make it through this and things will get better after December or in December. And so, whichever way it goes, I'm not going to be one of those arrogant, know-it-all people who's like, I know exactly what's going to happen next. I'm like I said, there is a lot going on in the world. So during this 3 months that I'm going to be staying at home, mostly, there's a lot for me to watch or to avoid. And that at no point in time am I trying to project negativity, anger, blame out there. That's just not my thing. I think a lot of people understand that. I love you. And I want to say again, Jordan Maxwell, who's like the grandfather of the truth community, put out a video a couple weeks ago. It was like, we got a bunch of crazy shit coming from outer space, man, in October. I've been like, look, dude, I don't know what's going to happen in October. But I spent half my day thinking about Billie Eilish, who physically is super gorgeous, has the voice of a siren, and has a amazing body. I was thinking of her as like dressed as the Terminator. I don't know if you've ever seen the Terminator. So she would have like the black leather jacket, black leather boots, black leather pants, and then the Terminator glasses. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger loved to show off his chest with the open V. I mean, I'm not saying she should show nipples, but if she had the open V, that would probably work too. And then, I don't know, the very first time in my life, I can remember seeing Ariana Grande. True story. Like the first time I remember seeing her, I was like, it reminded me of Blade Runner 7. Like I saw a scene from like Blade Runner 7, and Ariana was just like, seemed like one of the replicants, no disrespect, in Blade Runner 7. So that was like a powerful image to me. And so today, my imagination was working on like 3 music videos in my mind where like Billy was the Terminator and Ariana was like a Blade Runner 7, Audrey Hepburn, and Hot Pink and White. And so that was just like the weird place my imagination ran to escape from the real world. Although it was very nice. And it was Halloween themed because, you know, sometimes people dress up on Halloween. And can I say this, my buddies? One of the things about doing this is no matter what I say or do, there's always going to be somebody who's like, you're wrong, you're evil, Satan, right? And so I don't know, I dressed up as a kid as like Spider-Man from the youngest of ages. And so I've always enjoyed dressing up as superheroes on Halloween when I can. And so yeah, I get the weirder elements of Halloween and Devil's Night. But even in that weird spooky situation, I always like to put on the hero garb and be like, I'm a superhero! And a story that I've told multiple times is that, and it was like a couple years ago, I went out on Halloween as Neo from The Matrix. This is like 50 pounds ago. And I like to stay in character on Halloween of whatever I'm always a superhero of whatever superhero I am. And so I was Neo all night, and I loved it, although I almost never spoke, and I drank like Neo could. It blew my mind how much beer Neo could drink. That's all I'm saying. But I'm saying it was one of like, that was a good, fun, crazy night. And so, like, we are rolling up into holiday season. And so I have dressed up on Halloween many times. I do not think that Jesus is going to cast me into the eternal pit of fire forever, because I like dressing up as superheroes at least one day of the year. And, you know, a million people can disagree with me on that. I'm fucking okay with that, bro. I've also got people who come at me about how Christmas is evil and Christmas is a pagan or Christmas is Saturnalian or like, I always get this surge of like, Christmas is evil. No real Christian would support Christmas. That ain't me, dude. Like, I don't see negativity in fucking everything. Like, in almost anything you create your own story for. Yeah, I recognize sheer crass commercialism and the whole weirdness of Santa Claus. But at the end of the day, Christmas has always been my favorite day of the year. And so, as we were rolling up into holiday season, the world falling apart and on fire, you definitely have like a tidal wave of trolls, pessimists, nihilists, who are like, bah humbug! Let me tell you why every holiday is evil and sucks. And that the more unstable the world becomes, the easier it is for me to be grateful to the fact that I have a camera and electricity that I can talk to you through, that I have a beer, and that I have rolled my own personal cigarette and can smoke it here with you on a Thursday morning. I've been saying for years, like, one of the things they like to do is they pit the underpoverished and the poor against first responders. And tonight's a night where people are protesting, rioting, cops are shooting people, people are shooting cops. It's just like fucking pure madness. And so, like, yeah, that is considered like that is a negative party. And so I do not want to go anywhere near a negative party for any reason, especially in 2020. And I don't know, I guess, hey, like I said, it's like 2020 is what we've manifested together over the last decade. And so this is the whole year, the rest of the year is like a manifestation during this holiday season of our karma and rewards of the last definitely 8 years. They're like, what have we manifested on a collective level, a personal level, a group level? That like God and all of his angels are showing up in one way or another for like the last few months. I mean that very metaphorically. And no, I don't think the world's gonna end. No, I don't think there's gonna be a fucking rapture. Yeah, it's gonna get crazy. But like I said, I'm still alive. Brad Pitt's still alive. Bill Murray's still alive. Willie Nelson's still alive. So I'm definitely not giving up hope, bro. And whatever happens, I'm just gonna try and do my best. And say fucking funny or cool shit when I can. I've always said, man, if you just want to smoke a joint on your porch and even drink a little fucking moonshine and play guitar, play banjo, or play a jug with a stick, and you ain't going nowhere, that shit should have always been legal. Totally, absolutely, without a doubt. And I do want to say, like personally, as Planetary Defense Commander, there has been a lot of death. That there has been like so much, so densely compared to what we're normally used to, that this year, I don't think any of us have really had a chance to process the collective grief that is happening now. Like they, on the most part, just shut down funerals completely. It's like you cannot go to concerts, you cannot go to bars. But you can protest or you can go to rallies. You cannot go to funerals. You can either go to protests, work, or rallies. Those are your like entertainment options. Late September. Or you can go online. You can go to the Matrix here with me. Or just around. So it's like we keep describing what is happening by pre-2020 terms. Like the change that's happened in the world, nobody's kind of looking at it from a what we're really going through perspective, in my opinion. And mostly being low income my entire life on my own personal income earning levels, but having witnessed what happens when people die, that like it is as weird and distorted as the American healthcare system. Like if someone dies, there's a lot of legal shit that happens, and then you have to buy a fancy casket, wooden box, to put them in the ground like Egyptians. And then there's the whole process of that whole ritual about how we deal with our dead. You know, it was big business, dude. What they do with the bodies has always been big business. And it's very plaguey. 1918 or Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Because there's always like a discussion that has happened where like you could just have a flat tax of 10% or 15% or 7, whatever, where just everything got taxed equally always on a flat rate, like 10%, just everything, or 7, like whatever you, like everybody, just every tax was equal. If you're gonna tax people, fuck, just make it simple. And then that would literally put hundreds of thousands of people out of work as accountants. So they're like, we can't do that. You can't take a 500,000 page tax code and simplify that motherfucker, because it would lay off an entire job sector like overnight. Now, I'm pro, it's a big discussion about the whole Internal Revenue Service. They're like a cross between the postman and the military. And from my understanding that they've the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, like they've kept modern post-electricity civilization standing and feeding the lights on and feeding everybody for 100 years or so. Like the post office have done a great job as Americans of keeping it all together. Whatever gangster shit happens, there always seems to be a weird family honor in the gangster shit of the economy, that structure that happens amongst gangsters. You know? And that's not even a proper term for it, because this is a planet that has 7 billion people and has continued to move forward as the world around us changes. Like, we are just learning this world we're in, and then there's a whole universe and solar system around us. What was it talking about? Okay. And this is like we're all sitting around the campfire right now. Like, that's what this is. The stage, the campfire. Where we have our choices. You can go to work, go to riots or protests or rallies. Movie theaters are like sort of. Like, you can risk it and that through any type of virus or plague of the last 500 years, even 1,000 years, how old is the tavern? How old is the bar? How old is the drinking establishment? Like, they're 1,000 years old. It's a thing where, like, people, men and women, would get together and just drink beer or tequila or vodka or sit around the campfire. They just built a cool house around the campfire, which they call the bar. And that good musicians usually gravitated to the bar scene. So they're like the bards. And you still have your religions and your governments, your taxes and your laws that run the bars, the taverns, the campfire. So in 2020, it's like we're all sitting around the campfire of the sun. I read Lord of the Flies, but I did not like it. I'm not a fan of crappy endings. It's like, I'm not at war with anyone. But I'm doing what I can to remind people we gotta get along. And so I recognize that if you take away funerals and bars at the same time, it is such a weird mind fuck for millions of people, billions. Which is government and religion, law, money. What's it talking about? And I think understanding the transition from the bow and arrow to the gun, to the missile, to the data in such a short amount of time, like, we have had very little time to process how much the world has changed in 1,000 years to 500 years. Everyone's version of how they or their family remember existing in this world has grown considerably in like a collective memory. All right. So as Planetary Defense Commander, supporting, I like I said, supporting I think there's the fraternity of like 50,000 police departments across the USA. It's like 50,000 different town police keeping it together. The sheriffs, literal sheriffs. And then the firemen and the medics, ambulance drivers, helicopter pilots, people who come and fly down and save you in a hurricane. So in this town, like the town is pretty much built around the bar, the tavern, the saloon, where it is still one of the coolest things that human beings can get together in a cool place, drink beer, talk to each other, and have music or people saying funny, cool shit on a stage for a short amount of time, leave them wanting more. So like rock and roll is, I still say that is a magical secret weapon. That like Earth has yet to be like, when Earth is like, hey, we allow rock and roll back on Earth, I think things would heal really fast. And there are probably people out there like, we don't want it to heal. Well, so it's like a weird yin and yang of forces that are happening right now that is the energetic emulsion of 7 billion people living together in a time and space continuum that, as far as we know it, works in a linear fashion. Monday to Sunday. Woo! So it's like Earth is drinking beer around a campfire and just having really bad conversations on a collective level, nonstop. They're arguing with each other like constantly. Can't you see it in your brain that like how we perceive it to be and that like what's actually happening? Like what's happening? We're just fighting and arguing all the time. We can't agree on shit as human beings. And then there is some like 6% like, then that disqualifies us. We lose everything. So, but you gotta get up and put your pants on every day, go to work, and make smart choices over the next 3 months. It's like, all right, funerals are gone, rock and music, like concert shows, like, it's all weird. And there's not gonna be a whole lot of support for the basic state, for like the post office, the hospitals, the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics, the social workers, even the people who need extra help with food and rent and electricity. Like, this is crazy. And it's like Earth is like Mount Olympus. Little Mount Olympus, like we're all living on Mount Olympus as a planet right now. It's like Mount Olympus part 3 or part 6 or part 7. There's a great debate on which part we are in. But arguing, setting things on fire, shooting at each other. Definitely don't seem to be modern solutions to anything. And so, yeah, I'm on team we should stop fighting. It's just so absurd to say it because I feel it. But there's such a resistance to like, hey, let's all calm down and stay cool September. Although technically we're still being cool and calm because civilization has not collapsed yet, but everyone's been talking about it all day, all the time since 1999 Y2K bug. So it's like we've all been Y2K bug, bro. Oh no! Are we doomed? Did that asteroid that gave us gravity waves pass by our atmosphere yet safely? I don't know. I think Astronomy Live videotaped it like 22 hours ago or something. And it seemed to have not hit us. But we will check in. I'm not a number. I'm a free man. And that feels good. Texas is the lighthouse of love, forgiveness, and rock and roll. Texas has always had the best bars and saloons that will help keep it all together. I'm very proud to be part of that. We all make sure we give Willie Nelson a good place to play. Do it for Charlie Daniels. Do it for Kenny Rogers. Every day should be Willie Nelson Day for the rest of 2020. And I bet we would figure shit out fast. But some people out there are like, no, I do not believe in gods. Willie Nelson is no god. We shall not worship him. And I'm not saying worship him. I'm saying, like, I don't know if Willie Nelson was our guru to the end of the year. Like, Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton are like the grandma and grandpa of Earth. And they're super cool, badass people who are still here with us now. Damn. This half a beer has fucked me up. And so it is that weird predicament where, like, people who don't have the virus can hang out with people who don't have the virus. And so if there's some way, was a way that I could be checked or other people could be checked, then you could definitely drink beer together again. You can't even, like, I'm just talking about that, like, on a screenwriter level of just that whole concept. And so that, like, I don't have it and I don't want to get it over the next year and a half. And I recognize I'm going to have to adjust to that and be conscious of whatever the hell it is, this weird alien virus. I'm going to try and stay away from it for the next year and a half. And I'm going to try and avoid flu season this season as well. Best laid plans of mice and men, though, we shall see. Ooh. Okay. I only know one song. won't conquer me, and they won't conquer you. I feel better. And thank you, beer. So yeah, if we do have to talk about politics going into 2020, I am pro smart tavern, pro smart saloon, pro smart bar, pro smart club. That shutting down funerals and bars is a crazy thing to do to the world psyche at the same time. And we've been stumbling through this shit all year. A lot of this shit I talked about that was probably coming. It's all here. Yeah. We've been stumbling through the year. But I can see Christmas, man. I can still see Christmas 2020. And so, that's where I'm at. Although things are falling apart, the world's on fire. This is way too much like I Pet Goat. No more war. That's what we are fighting for. No more war, no more fighting. Let's relearn how to have some fun. That's my idea. Like a Earth Christmas mission. As we face the three ghosts of Christmas. Past ghost of Christmas, now ghost of Christmas, and future ghost of Christmas. Over the next holiday season. They talked about it in the movies all the time. And that Bill Murray's still alive. So, I think we got a decent shot. But it's gonna be crazy, baby. This shit's fixing to get crazy, baby. Yay, X-Men. Yoo-hoo. There are a lot of good teams out there. I am talking a little crazy, but everybody's talking a little crazy. I would like everybody to calm down. Work it out. We're gonna work it out. Okay. All right. It's like it's got, to me, it's got a very, it feels like a King of the Hill episode. Hank Hill and his buddies, or same South Park vibe where it's like you and your tribe just watching whatever's going down, wherever it's going down, as it goes down here in 2020 across the globe, where everybody's technically just standing on the corner of their street in their town at some point in time. Even if they're far away from people, they're still near somebody. And somehow there has been like a cool vibe, a cool spirit that has helped move us forward through it all. Where you can't have cake, guitar, beer, and pie at Christmas with candles and family and friends. And that is okay, and that is good. It's better than okay. The Christmas shall return again. But this fucking Halloween season seems like it's going to be super jacked up with many mythological elements that are almost everywhere. But it's been like that since a post-2020 world. Right? Yes. My opinion. I'm just hanging out here with you at this bar we call Planet Earth. Go, man, we need to get a piano player and a good stand-up bass player. 2 more excellent players, please. You know, we need more brass instruments and fiddles rocking on this planet. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Woohoo! God bless everyone, each and every one of us. Okay, so you're here with me now. Like, this is between me and you, and it's just me thinking. But today, I was thinking like, Quentin Tarantino said, hey, I did 10 films, whoop, done. I'm the best, or whatever, if you ranked them. And so I was like, well, I do believe he's expressed interest in Star Trek. And so, if you had a project like Netflixian, HBO Maxian, Disney Plusian, that if like you had a Quentin Tarantino series of Star Trek in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and then you had a lot of the Saturday Night Live team of actors and like the Parks and Rec team and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like a lot of the big ensembles, and of course the Cheers, like they're just, you could do like an amazing 100-show arc of Star Trek, like world, like 100 episodes, like give Tarantino like 100 episode and Star Trekian project thing. And Bill Hader would be a Vulcan. And so I've been thinking about that a lot today. And that is just a cool idea. You know, you like extremely well-written stuff with great visuals. A great fucking dialogue, man. And then I had this weird idea, like if like in a Star Trekian world, like if they showed up in another world where like in that world that planet itself is on the cusp of being in a giant civil war between the people who eat animals and the people who are like, we have to stop eating animals. So they're like, kind of like our Star Trekky future, but it's just a little in a different kind of, to where like the whole planet is at a civil war of like people who eat animals and want to keep it up, and then had the whole other half of the planet is like, no, this giant battle is fought between. And then I would be like, well, then what would they do there? That would be crazy, right? It'd be an interesting episode of the show. I would like to see what, Bill Hader and Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle could do with that. At the helm of a ship. We're like, in Star Trek, where there's the whole Earth is working together to build shit of the future and go into the future and explore the world or expand in the solar system around us. And so at the point they get everyone to be like, hey, okay, we've stopped fighting. We can do the Star Trekky stuff. I imagine at some point they don't cover that a lot in the movies or shows. But that's probably a very tenuous, it could be a very tenuous kind of agreement at the very beginning. And so, I don't know, I was seeing it in a very like Star Trekky as now thing. And they even Space Force, when it became the sixth branch of our military, they took on a Star Trekian logo. And in Star Trek, the whole planet gives up fighting with each other. It's like, all right, we're gonna go everywhere. We've got a space minivan. We're gonna space minivan around the planets around us. That'd be cool. As a kid, I thought we were going to the moon. I thought I'd be on the moon by now. I thought you'd be on the moon by now. I thought we'd be on the moon by now. Hanging out, drinking margaritas, playing electric guitar by the pool, looking back on Earth. Zero G gravity? I don't know. Can you turn that shit on and off with belts and magnetics? I thought we'd know the answer by now. Now I'm talking crazy. But I have had a beer and a half. Super trucking to the inner and outer spaces. The Highwayman. What was it? Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Tom Petty, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, The Highwayman. It is a cool thing that at some point in time, because one of the coolest symbiotic relationships has been between horse and man. Like that, as a Sagittarian, the fact that man and horse can, like, cats and dogs be like, hey, I'll hang out with you. But horse is like the one animal where they're like, hey, human being, do you want to get somewhere faster than walking or mopeds? I'm a horse. I'll get you there fast. That's what you want. The fact that man has been able to ride horses, like that's the one animal we can get up and get on, get moving. That's such a cool thing. And so the fact that at some point, not only could we ride horses, but then we invented the automobile and the tractor wheel. Because one thing I learned, I think like 2 weeks ago, the Aztecs didn't seem to be too fascinated, as far as we know, with the wheel. Like they had it, they were just like, yeah, we don't want to do much with it. We like building our bridges in the swamps and the waters with the creatures. And so, but when we got the wheel, it revolutionized the industrial age, where man could then load horses onto a trailer with wheels in his car and take the horses faster than more horsepower, take the horses faster than the horses can run. And so the idea that at one point we built cars and trailers to put horses on, so sometimes when the horses, we didn't, that's just such a super cool thing. I mean, driving a car is one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. Like, as a human being, I really enjoyed driving. The fact that you could watch everything go by at like 70 to 100 miles an hour, 55, whatever. that has always been like a wow. In this part of the video game, I at least get to drive around Earth and see all the things, and meet the people, and going around. There's so much shit to see around on planet Earth. Every town and city has a different vibe. All of them have bars. And I guess in one way or another, I've walked into every bar like, hey, I'm Captain. Oh my God, I'm awesome. Star-Lord do Thor 7, the T. I would like to have a beer in your drinking establishment. And a mic, put some money in the jukebox. Yeah. Cheers. This energy is definitely weird. Whoa. And then you do what you can to have a no shooting each other in town rule, or in your city. Every city's a town. Like, we can have saloons as long as we're courteous and civil to each other, and we don't just shoot each other. Like, one of the bylaws is keeping a saloon economy. So with funerals and saloons kind of shut down, and us watching the winter wave of all the things that are happening, going into the Christmas season, Devil's Night, spooky Action Jackson shit, 2020 style, heading nose first into flu season. Winter is coming. But I'm excited about Christmas. I'm staying excited about Christmas. But yeah, in waves, it feels like at times our entire solar system is coming apart at the seams. Like, energetically, everything's just like, whoa! Did you feel that? I'm doing my best to project stabilization factors into all the energy. Ooh. We gotta keep it together. And the progression of 500 years ago world stage and economy with the Aztecs and the Spanish Inquisition to like 250 years after that, shit broke, like when the east or west, however you describe it, came over to here and changed the Aztec, Mayan, and American culture, north and south, made them like a hand over fist. 250 years later, you had the United States of America break away from that 500, like what happened 500 years ago, where like they overtook, and then the people who did the whole American thing were like how America was born, and they're like, we are fighting for freedom now, freedom from independence from the king and the queen. So that was like 500 years, Aztecs and Spanish Inquisition. That's 500 years ago. And like 250 years ago, I would say around then, you had the like, America's born. And it's like, we're 250 years later. And then like 200 years in, around there is when we got electricity. We could put airplanes in the sky, flying machines. We go to the moon. We go to Venus. I don't know, I watched a lot of footage on John F. Kennedy talking about Planet Venus. You seem convinced it was fucking real. And then it was cool. Like from the footage I've seen, there's no reason John F. Kennedy would be faking that enthusiasm for a planet and what we were learning. And we were going to Mars at the same time. So I don't think he was faking that shit. He was like, hey, Venus, y'all. And it was like, no, Venus, Mars. And so, as Nostradamus said in 1997, Mars would kind of be a ruler, and it seems like, it's been a Mars dominant 23-year period for sure. But it's also been a Capricorn, Sagittarius, Jupiter, and Saturn, and Venus. Like if I had to give out awards to just visual planets that I've seen in the sky since I've been around, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn are definitely like some of the main characters of the sky show that I've seen, not including the moon and the sun. And Sirius up there, but I'm just talking about the planets. Jupiter. I've seen in the sky so many times, Jupiter. Saturn. Same thing. I've seen Saturn so many times. Mars. Venus. That when the sun is up, the whole sky is like a work of art and filled with colors and weather and activity and birds. And then when the sun goes down, the sky gets totally dark and there are all these total lights in the sky. With the moon going across in clouds. That unexplainable, the bigness of all that shit is one of the coolest things about being an Earthling. Day and night, like the sky just changes from night to day every day, but it doesn't. There are all these lights. And then in all my time here, I've definitely seen Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn so many times where I can look up and they're there, and including Orion, and the Big Dipper, and Sirius. And in Game of Thrones, without disrespect to anybody, Mars is like House Lannister. If there was a Mars Pluto, it's a very House Lannistering. And I don't want to get it wrong. It's all saying that there's an element of the last 200 years and the last 20 years. It's like we're going into the future now, man. This is wild. I think I just lost my bookmark in my mind from my train of thought. It's like every night we can go out into the sky where you don't have clouds. And you can see Saturn and Jupiter coming together in the sky. And I can see Jupiter's moons. I mean, it might help to have a beer or two to see them. But I can see Jupiter's moons. And I've been able to see Jupiter's moons since like 2013. Or if you just go look at Jupiter long enough, Jupiter has moons. So that one light in the sky has baby little lights in the sky with it. Jupiter. And sometimes if you watch Jupiter, the moons and the light looks like it is dancing. They're like, there's some nights you can see Jupiter and the moons and just the energy they put out in the sky that night is amazing. It is dancing. And just think, even for the last 2,000 or 5,000 years, like the way humans relate to the living process and then retell the story of what this is all about, how they've done it over the last 5,000 years. I mean, it's just, but like the stories we tell forward. It's been an amazing thing. Star Trek, one for all and all for one. And you can make delicious space food, or at least that would be the goal. Yeah, definitely take care, clean the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, and take care of the animals. Like, if stats are true, that we've lost like 66.6% of all the animals that were on Earth, and it would be on Earth in a normal span like this. Like, it was like 65% a couple days ago. And that is like to me, a big, if you do have Pluto and Saturn straight up in the mix, and Jupiter, like, and Mars and Venus, they're like the animals on Earth. If we've like let that is definitely just a super weird karmic energy point. I I don't know about the exact timing of it, but I would guess there were creatures and animals around before man in some form. Like, I don't know if humans or like Earth was the final product or final form as in the evolution of darkness to light to everything that followed and now exists here with us. So talking about I'm 3 sheets to the wind, which is weird because I only have 1 sheet and a blanket. All right, but I do have multiple blankets. Y'all are awesome. Yeah, animal spirits. Their animals are here, and I think animal spirits are here. So, like, are we going to evolve to get to point to where, like, we understand that we got to take care of Earth's water and Earth's eco structure of animals that are all super fucking cute, whether they be ants or spiders or even snakes or geckos or squirrels or dogs or cats or hippopotamuses or rhinoceroses or giraffes, monkeys, Shetland ponies, penguins, polar bears, panda bears, regular bears. They're like growing plants and trees and fruit and vegetables and nuts on Earth. And flowers is a super cool thing. And so, like, we definitely need a basic acknowledgement that, like, we need to take care of our water, which is very Neptune-y, the oceans, the lakes, the rivers. Like, we want clean water. Like, at this point in our progression forward, we should be able to have clean water across the planet for everyone and everything. And that we do find good places for the animals and creatures to roam and grow and live. So yeah, to me, you got like God and there's Jesus, and then there's like all the animal spirits. The Great Spirit. And these stars have been turning around the sky for a mighty long time. I'm pretty sure Earth was here before I got here, and Earth will be here when I'm gone. I'm gonna get one more beer. I got. Oh. Seven. That's one of my favorite numbers. And in what the 30s, they had the CCC, the Community Conservation Corps, or something like that, CORPS, where they paid everybody to take care of their town and surrounding areas. Yeah, man, dude, the harnessing of electricity, the Prometheus moment, and then you just had the industrial age grow. There were no industrial age economic forces that could control the growth of the industrial age of electricity, air conditioning, car, airplane. Like that growth spread rapidly across all religious and national boundaries super fast. Like once they got electricity and tapped into oil, that 135-year growth has just been at a very breakneck pace, which John F. Kennedy talked about a lot, that the pace of what we did up into the 70s was super duper mind blowingly incredible. From the transistor to the 70s, like, wow, we we're doing great. Our space program is doing great. Venus is cool. And Mercury. And so, hey, crazy thoughts, because you guys are awesome, and I try to be awesome too. And I'm thinking about the Quentin Tarantino Star Trek. But think about it. So, like, you have the sun, and to me, the sun, its relationship with Mercury, like Mercury's not to me like the moon or the partner of the sun. Their best Mercury. There's something special about planet Mercury. And Mercury has the one that can like go between or talk to all the other planets. Like Mercury can go to talk to Pluto and back, and still make it back. Like nobody killed Mercury. Nobody could destroy Mercury, you know. But Mercury had to talk to all the houses all the time, all the planets, all the. Mercury was always could speak the language of all the planets. Or one of them. And so that like Pluto to me is almost like has this feel that it's like if there were a dark sun or a black hole sun or a darkness yin yang equivalent to our home star sun, it could be like out by Pluto and around the other, like in one of the orbits of that, like there is the shadow planet that is out by Pluto somewhere, and Pluto is the shadow planet's Mercury. Does that make any sense? And then Neptune is down there as well. So you have like the underworld and darkness and fire and water. Neptune. Pluto and Neptune. And so they're way out here. And even Saturn and Jupiter are up in here. And the Earth is between Venus and Mars. With Mercury as like on Sun's team, or they're like binary, they're their own tiny binary system. The Sun and Mercury. And so it does feel like as we're learning more about our solar system, it's like from the 3D to the 5D, the 7D, to the G's, the T's, the Z's, the O's. Oh, the O's. Oh, the O's. Oh, the O's. Oh, the O's. Home. Home. What are we talking about? And they say, astrologers and stargazers and star readers and such, say that Pluto and Hades, the underworld, is the planet that represents wealth. We're not talking the rich. Mars is the rich. Pluto is the wealth. And there have been radical changes in wealth over the last 200 years. There have been radical changes since King Arthur, to the Aztecs and the Spanish Inquisition, to the dawn of the Industrial Age, the dawn of America, to the dawn of the Digital Age, to like now. And one of the coolest things humans ever did was put together rock and roll bands. have great bars and clubs, and have great bands play on Earth. That is some of the coolest shit a planet can do. If you can put together a collection of little gods, children of God, earthlings that know how to play like the animals in Mother Nature in symphony, in harmony with everything that is moving and spinning around us, that anytime human beings should do that, that is just some super cool, extra, bonus planetary point stuff. Like the Aztecs did not have rock and roll. The Spanish Inquisition had not gotten to rock and roll. Where that, for lack of a better example, as shit was getting crazy but progressing into beyond a Nazi Hitler future of war and pigment economic domination attempts or whatever, that there was Elvis Presley. That somehow one of the most dominating things that happened in the TV age that allowed for it to happen was like there was an Elvis Presley and the Beatles. They're like the Aztecs never got to rock and roll and popular music. The Spanish, it was like nobody, the Aztecs, nobody got to that point where humans could get along and work together well enough and have eclectic styles that come together in smooth ass jazzy funk groove of goodness, and that makes you feel alive and dance and believe and be connected to the spirit of all that is around us, including God. They're like musicians are angels helpers. And so they're like, rock and roll has only been on the planet for like 50 to 70 years. And at the same point they shut down space programs, they shut down rock and roll. Like, we're shutting down the idea of space trucks. We're shutting down rock and roll. So it's like 20 years beyond that. And your dishwasher is 5 times more expensive than it was back then. So that has definitely been Earth's X-Men, Star Trek, Justice League, Ace in the Hole is music. Like everything out now is super low vibration noise. And that's why I'm like Back to the Future, Marty McFly, and this whole battle is a cool rock and roll kid in a cool rock and roll town. And that was like 1988. Then fast forward to the John Teeter 2015, 2014 shit. Fast forward to the D-Waving 2016s. And it all seems like spooky action at this point. But, and with Christmas, music, Christmas songs are fantastic. Silent Night. Silent Night. Holy night. All is calm. And all is bright. bunch of great Christmas songs. And it's holiday season. It's Halloween showing up. And so, if I had a super badass team, I had unlimited resources, I'd definitely be working on some type of 3-song X-Men themed music video with me, Ariana as the Blade Runner 7 Audrey Hepburn in Hot Pink and White, and then Billy as the Terminator. And that the third song would be a super rock and roll badass power ballad of space punk, symphonic groove. That if you had to fly through space for 20 hours, just looking at all things and locked down in like your own international space station, your space truck, you can take these jams with you into our Star Trekky peaceful future. I didn't watch The New World Order. I preferred the filmmakers and their screenwriting skills to the writing of wrestling and even comic books. I just really like good writing and good dialogue. Anywho, one of their big wrestlers died. So one of the New World Order guys, the red spiky bald one, died. There's been a lot of death around. That's why, like, from many perspectives, how you look at the history of mankind in a post-Jesus Christ world and all the economic systems and all the religious systems that have existed for like the last 2,000 years. Well, I just looked at it, and then I lost the words to describe it. But yeah, the Christmas spirit has helped us keep it together. And I don't know how. I mean, they're like Saturn and Christmas have had connections since the modern industrial age. Like whenever light, so electricity is light and moving images and pictures. And so once they can harness that shit, that like for whatever reason over the last 2,000 years, all the religions and stuff, that Saturn and Christmas got connected. And then all the energy, emotions, actions, thoughts, songs, things, hymns, gospels, choirs, like, so Saturn and Christmas got connected. No doubt about that. And it seemed like 5 years ago, Saturn was just a black cube. But in the last 5 years at least, the black cube learned all these super cool LED, like 5D, 7D LED light. Saturn learned a bunch of new tricks. And they're Christmassy. Like the star at the top of the tree. And Jupiter is very Zeus / Odin E. And like Jupiter, Jupiter and Saturn are planets. And like I said, I can see Jupiter's moons with my own eyes and have been able to for a while. So like Jupiter and Saturn are their own mini little solar systems. And we have watched I have had a disagreement with science, collective science, since I've had Thor News, where they have this idea that the gases and everything gets so heavy, it collapses upon each other in a big bang, and then busts everything out into like airports. Eventually, I described that crappily. I'm just trying to say that how planets and stars get made, I've disagreed. That like I think like the sun or possibly even the moon, like the sun probably creates planets and stars, and like the sun creates stuff. Even in our own inner core can create tiny. Anywho, so that even the planets we are on may have come from the sun. And so our knowledge of Jupiter and Saturn, both of them, our knowledge of their moons around Jupiter and Saturn, like their moons have grown. And in multiple instances, science has basically said, yeah, this new moon just showed up out of Saturn. Like we've had multiple brand new moons kind of show up without any giant space dust and gas collapsations. Somehow we got a moon to show up. And if Saturn and Jupiter have the atmospheric components that we know of in any close to the way we understand the fluidity of the plasmatics of life, like they may be just spitting out, giving birth to moons, which are like little planets, to Jupiter and Saturn. And so, for lack of a better term, with Jupiter and Saturn and Venus and Mars being like angels in our heavens every single night. They're like angels nobody fully understands. They've all been here with us. We all do believe we can or can't communicate that with them in our own personal ways. And that those of us who are like, if I did pick up the challenge as a human being to figure out how to write a song and sing it, that it was the stars, the moon, the sun, the planets that I could see that helped inspire me to get this far. That if I hadn't loved listening to Mother Nature and all the angels and heavens around me, I would have never become cool enough to get to the point where I could write songs and play guitar into the apocalypse of 2020. You know, if I said that not as cool as or good as I could have, I tried. So yeah, this is the battle of the gods, the battle of the planets that it's like history has bottlenecked of the last 500 or 200 years. History has bottlenecked on what everybody tells each other every day on a government or economic or religious level or civil level. The whole belief systems of all that shit of the past is like kind of bottlenecked and being squished down into all of the energy with us. We're like all of our bad myths, all of our bad ideas, all the shit we got wrong, like it's literally like all the shit that doesn't work is fucking collapsing, being like scrunched down by like the pressure of it just don't work no more. So you got, you know, it. And this is like the grand transition that like this is Mount Olympus, and I don't know. At no point do I want to give up on my 7 billion team family of human beings or the animals. Cats, dogs, and horses are some of the coolest. Like I don't even, if I like the connection, having connection with God, or when you want to talk to God or listen to God, that animals are excellent communicators of the heavens, the earth, like. and insects. That like I've been here long enough to that like anywhere from the ant to the fly to the roach, that like all the creatures of this planet that are here with us now, every single one of them is like super magnificent. And then this giant puzzle that is together, we all fit in these divine ways somehow together to make this work. And being able to think of like a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek project that I might get to see 100 episodes of over the next 7 years. Or just even the thought of making those three, live action / animated / CG music videos with Terminator Billy and Blade Runner Ariana. That's been a bright spot in this, whatever delusions of grandeur I might have to think up when reality's closing in its walls on me. That one has helped keep a Christmas smile on my face. That the Jupiter-Saturn thing happened about 20 years ago. Where Jupiter and Saturn went over each other in the sky, had their close dance. 20 years ago was the year 2000, 1999. And in 1999, we had like this giant party. The whole world had a giant party on the year 2000. Look, I don't know what you did, but I know that at that time I had a bunch of friends who were in really good bands that played in Dallas, Fort Worth, the whole music scene, and had been playing there in the 90s when local rock and roll and rock and roll was having a resurgence in the 90s. And so there's a club in downtown Dallas, a live music venue. And I went and saw some of the best musicians of my friends play with like 3 or 4 bands that night. And it was just like a giant party on the year 2000. We did all have, I know some people stayed home, but in the year 2000, we had a Prince a la year 19, like we had a year 2000 celebration. And at the same time, they're telling everybody like, hey, I know you guys are all having a party on New Year's Eve, the year 2000. And I know they've been talking about this party for 1,000 years, maybe even 2,000 years. Right? We're having the party of the year 2000. And Prince was kind of like the guy in charge of the party. In 2000, it was like Prince, who was our MC, who was taking us through the journey of the year 2000. The party of 2000. It was Prince. And he was a fucking fantastic, super duper, absolute ambassador to planet Earth. That I think he was Jehovah's Witness, but like as a super cool Christian that like you could just be born, live, and exude a pure essence of cool and keeping it together, but still love, forgiveness, family, and still being you and unique with your own voice. Prince was the guy. And so in this party, we had this giant fucking party, but at the same time, he had the people looking to control the narrative for the next 20 years and have it all distracted to funnel into the stock markets going through the roof for 20 straight years. They were telling everybody, hey, y'all, the world is going to fucking end on 1999. Or, you know, these new phones that we've given each other that are wireless, like Tesla talked about 100 years ago, but it's got the game Snake on it, and you can text people and you can send people a picture on your phone. Like we took the phone cord off the wall, now everybody's got a phone on it, and sometimes you get some type of 1 or 2 sentence news alerts. So the phone of the late 90s was like a huge fucking deal. And so as they're handing you your phones and your computers, and have been for like 5 years, 5 years into it, they're like, oh, we forgot to tell you, all this shit runs on code. And the master planner put in a code bug on purpose for a full reset. Like everything will technically reset, like and shut down, and the code itself may come alive. Y2K 1999, at the turn of, when it goes from 1999, it goes to the year 2000. Like it was a giant, it's almost like a release party of like, as they're giving everybody technology, they're saying, by the way, the technology will then rule in Earth at the year 2000 at the turn over the 1999. Then they pulled it, they said that a version of that again in 2012. Here comes the end of the world again. I'm like, well, Isaac fucking Newton said that he went through Revelations and all the books, and he was tired of all the bad prophets. He was like, look, bros, I don't know when this shit ends, but we were making it to 2,354. So let's stop all the fucking end of the world today discussions, because I'm Isaac Newton, and I have figured it out. And Leonardo da Vinci was like, hey, I think he's right. But since 1999, that's when like the doom torture porn came into the narrative. Like, space Nazis are everywhere. Planet X is coming to destroy us. Aliens, artificial intelligences, demons, evil satanic cults. So from like 88 to 1999, we thought, hey man, world peace is coming next. And they didn't have the New World Order wrestling program then, so nobody was that freaked out by it. Like the idea of world peace in 88 to 2000 was like a natural progression. Like there were no solid arguments against why everybody should be fighting. And then 9/11 happened. And they're like, okay, Y2K didn't happen. We did have 9/11. And now we have great reasons for everyone to fight for the next 20 fucking years. While we give you smartphones that give you updates on why everybody's fighting. And who to blame? And over my tail end 48-year witnessing of the like movies didn't even come out until like 1910, 1920, 1905, 18, like putting a picture on a screen and actually telling the human brain pictured stories with scripted moving pictures. That shit is like just at 100 years old. The television was such a giant revolutionary. You went from like Aztecs to 500 years later, televisions. But during the last 48 years, definitely my favorite people of the planet have been the musicians, the comedians, and every good person who is a natural or got their cool spirit. that can rest easy in a peaceful, easy feeling that our civilization has provided to us many times. Have you ever been on top of a mountain or a chairlift with a family or friend? Have you ever been at a beach with a family or friend? I definitely believe in a divine architect. And that life is a very intricate, unexplainable magic that it's so cool that we're here though. I do believe God finds a way. And love finds a way. And then for like 2,000 years, our planet has kept it together and continued to move forward as Team Earth. Our hard work, ideas, inventions have moved forward to everybody. Like the idea of a toaster. Like the unexplainable magic of God and the universe. The fact that you can have like bread, like flour, that come from natural elements, that you can create bread. So the point that man got to where man could even just have a toaster, where that like baking bread used to be and has always been a major part of like being a human being. Like you gotta feed everybody every day, and that bread and vegetables and fruits have always been one of the things that we are provided that feed us every day, and that bread is very godly. Breaking bread, the idea that you can work together enough as a team that bread can be baked and then broken and eaten together. And so we need to get back to basic bread levels. The free market say we don't have to feed everybody every day. Now I'm saying, well, man, I recommend feeding everybody every day. And my dreams have been crazy in 2020. And if it is true that we have lost 65% of all the species that were supposed to be here in the last 30 years, like I definitely do not know what is going to happen next, but I feel that energetic spirit. I feel that the animal spirits that are changing and have been changing. And that plagues and viruses and flus have existed for a long time and had major flare ups, like statistically every 50 to 100 to like, it has been a consistent thing almost as rain. That some little basic human fluid can tear down the whole, and literally just fucking shut you down and kill you. Bring out your dead. It's Monty Python. Bring out your dead. Did you ever see Monty Python? Bring out your dead. Dark Ages. Bring out your dead. So Saturn backing up into Pluto over the next 5 days, 100 hours. We are all grown ass adults now, and we can outgrow our ancient religions that are so commingled and commixed. They're preventing us from doing the very basic fundamentals of like feed everybody every day. And so we figured out how to turn the lights on. Let us keep the lights on. And in the whole prospect of feed everybody every day, with 10% of all working Americans being laid off in a singular year, that is over 30 million people just lost their job and their way of life. That like a nation that is focused on food, that is focused on a commitment to feed everyone every day, and allow bread, flour, and water to be part of our everyday, like the things we give grace and butter thankful for. Mr. Miyagi, Karate Kid. Like if you concentrate on feeding everybody every day and revamping our entire food and industrial growth process. We went through a post 9/11 thing where they were putting weird fucking super restrictions on the common man growing vegetables and growing shit in your own house or on your own land, that they put up a lot of roadblocks that like, oh, you want to get into farming, do you? Well, no siree, Johnny. We're not going to make it easy for you. Remember, marijuana is still illegal. You cannot grow pot. But that like in a return to basics, you know, embracing human beings growing stuff in a garden on land and providing food for themselves and others is a very basic skill we can all get into. That like if you have to redirect part of the workforce as the whole economic system changes, getting everybody's help in on feeding everybody is an excellent step. And the whole thing about, I don't want to get into political arguments about the weather and what we can do to improve Mother Earth right now, but I definitely recommend taking care of the fucking water. Like at some point you can have a mass American, let us take care of Mother Earth's water. We will clean up the water. We will clean up the lakes. We will clean up the rivers. We will clean up the ocean. We will clean up all the trash and shit that our forefathers left on this gorgeous fucking planet and its oceans, its lakes, and its rivers. I don't give a shit who has to pay for it or who's responsible. That we need to clean the fucking water. And at the end of the day, we respect the water of Earth. And the water of Earth has always been more powerful than all the money that Earthlings could ever print or shape out of gold. And so you have like Neptune and Pluto over here. Right here, right? And then you got Saturn and Jupiter here. And then of course we're up here. So it's a very we're going from Pluto more towards like Neptune. So it's going from a super Pluto vibe to more of a very Neptune Aquarius vibe. The stars are aligning. So if you want to get to a Star Trek-y place with the whole planet, if you move past the New World Order economic digital professional wrestling stage, bread and water is a good place to start. If you had to start at a place, clean up the water, feed everybody every day. We're going to try it from like now to 2022. We'll see how it goes after that. And the moment we're in now is literally all these dueling philosophies, theories, energies happening now. And if you're going to go over the course of American or European, from the days that we've had bars, saloons, taverns, and churches, every time you have a virus, a plague, a pandemic, or a super flu, it disrupts the whole scene. Of the churches and the saloons. And what the car did was provide the means for man to go get in his car, fill it with gas, and then go from church to work to the saloon, to the gas station, from church to work to the saloon, to the gas station, with the TV in between. Now, we built this world together. We built all these cities and towns and roadways and parks and helped try and keep up the wildlife and forests. It's like the whole Groot thing, like the spirit of the tree, as we talk about water and the campfire. They're like, I think a lot of the fires we have seen in the West Coast have been due to volcanic activity and magma activity. There is no doubt some groups may have done it for real estate purposes. Real estate purposes. And that's a very general term. Anyway, but we have seen far too many, like how we've treated the forest and the trees of earth. Like, if that is what, like, we got to take care of the water, give everybody bread, we got to take care of the trees. Like, we will plant tons of fucking trees of all different types. We will plant flowers. Like, we will be committed to getting back into touch with our planet. And that as these changes go around, we will definitely rebuild, replant, adapt. Yeah, we need to plant fuck tons of trees. And trees can grow fruits. Trees grow food. And this food problem of feeding everybody every day, trees grow like walnuts and shit. They grow lemons and limes, if I'm not mistaken, like peaches. Trees just grow food. So watching the entire West Coast burn the fuck up, and some of the Northern California forests are some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Like, the trees up in Northern California are like amazing. Like, that is some biblical, those are biblical, like, what, however you want to, like, humbled by a forest. And then watching however we've responded to all the fires on the West Coast has been fucking disgusting. As you watch the creatures, you can feel the fear in the. And just the idea that we don't respect or understand the basic situation enough to be like, yeah, I'm pro clean water and I'm pro trees and animals. And you can, I'm not here saying, I'm not taking away your deer hunting. I'm not taking away your dove hunt, like, you're quite like, but I'm definitely big on having a bunch, like, I'm pro animal populating, that somehow working out just a basic thing where we are listening to the animals and we're respecting the animals, and that we're recognizing that losing trees is fucking bad. We all, like, we need to do something about growing more trees and fucking flowers on this fucking planet. President was talking about forest management. Well, it's time to grow the fuck up Space Force and do better forest management and lake management and ocean management and water management and get back to the basics. So if we stop fighting in the Star Trekky sense, we can grow a bunch of stuff, build a bunch of stuff, make a bunch of stuff, and get me one step closer to an upper atmosphere truck I can fly around in. Like, how cool would that be? I was talking earlier about how cool it is that a man can put a horse on a trailer, get in his car, and take his horse like 100 miles in a short amount of time. Like, imagine if I was able to put a horse on my space truck with me, just to take him up there to upper atmosphere and roll around with my horse and dog. Just be like, we're flying around the upper atmosphere, checking out the clouds. I got a horse up here with me, and it's awesome. And the horse, I mean, if you freak the horse out, I'd be like, all right, we're going back down. I'm just saying. Like, when I talk about building new cities, that, like, we can build from scratch, and that, like, part of the building of the city and the design and the architecture will be that, like, you plant millions of trees in the places that in the design, that, like, you can literally build hills or mini map, like, and then you can design the plants and all the, like, you can make modern forest waterway travel structure cities of the future that seem to work really well together. And from all the shit, the architecture around the Nero days, like there is a magical component. If you were on the matrixy level to the history of mankind that we've gone through, there was a magical architectural component to the 1500s. Let he or she who has understanding and wisdom understand that they had ways and means in the 1500s with the things they did that were super Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Nero architecture genius. And they ran many of their things on water and had water, like the aqueducts and all the water was part of the city. And that from what I understand, like the level they got to when they could get were one with water and great masonry. Like there's so much we can do with just the very basic elements, and there's so much we can build. And so we're at that point now where like we could literally build these forest garden cities with the aqueducts and the water, the flow of the water and the animals, and like you can design the cities of the future that are peaceful and easy to live in. And that over time, these forest cities, a lot of the trees would be planted. And so as you were building the city and as the city grew over the next decade or two, you would watch all the forest grow to life as the people who helped build the cities build it and then plant all the trees and shit. These are some like 1930 ideas. They just had World War One. They're like, what do we do? And then they had the CCC, and they're like, let's take care of everybody, and we'll take care of Mother Nature, and we'll feed everybody, and everybody will get paid to just be cool. CCC. And then they had to get rid of the CCC to fight World War II. Everybody used to own the mineral rights of everything in America. And that was how they get paid for the CCC. And then they're like, oh, World War II, our plans weren't good enough after World War One. We got big problems again, so we got to give up CCC, taking care of Mother Nature, and everybody, feeding everybody, because we got to go fight Satan as Hitler and his marching tanks and bombers and shit. And so it's weird how we've definitely, like, we're basically kind of in that, where the stock markets are huge in the 30s. Like, you got movie theaters and stock markets. It's the first time in 10,000 years you have movie theaters and stock markets in 1918, 1920, 1930, and the Spanish flu. And so we're only like 100 years beyond mankind having movies or motion picture screens and stock markets with, you know, vehicles and planes along that. But like, we're only 100 years into that shit. And so the way of life from 1900 till now, with a focus on stock markets, but the stock markets provided the car for people to go to the bars and the saloons. And so I guess as a kid, I've always been dreaming about building the cities of the future. And I love amazing architecture. Even the basic concept of stairs. Of how you can get to a building that's like, I don't know, 300 feet for like, you can have multiple levels of living, and that stairs as part of the overall giant structure. Stairs to the top have always been a very cool human thing of like, I can ascend to a bird's eye view. Like we have figured out how to walk up 200 feet of stairs to where I can then look over all of Mother Nature in the city, or like, we figured out how to build these amazing buildings, skyscrapers, homes. And so the building of cities and towns has always been like a progressive art and science. And never before had an economy had full control over architects until the like McDonald's, Starbucks model, the strip mall model. Where you're putting butts in seats during a population explosion, because the population definitely exploded, especially in America, over the last 100 years. Like all of our family had family. And so we're still, in a metaphorical sense, at the very end, like now in 2020, we're still, all of our mental mind and religious, it's still focused on a like movie screen, moving picture, newspaper, economy. It's like all about the TV and the stock markets. And the TV is just the screen, just like the telephone went off the wall. They basically took the movie screen and the TV screen and put it on your phone. So they like unhooked. So they took the giant magic screen, stage, what you tell the masses, which was a very powerful thing. And they put it on your phone and in your home. And so for 100 years, we've been focused on the TV screen, which is the monolith, the Black Mirror, and the stock markets. It was like in 2013, it was like the economy is, we're now in a brand new economy. We're past Keynesian economics or Adam Smith. We're now in a dragon and beast economy. Where like our old religions, our old economies, our old all of our old lives are like coming together at once. And there has been an underlying point of the narrative over the last 20 years, is that regardless of why the natural disasters are increasing into a growing population that is booming, of why it is less and less each other's community, state, town, country, government responsibility to help you in the case of a major crisis. Like, even in all the videos that I've made, I've showed how they had like homeland stuff for diseases and all the different ways where they basically had like natural disaster defense for Americans in America in the 30s and 40s. We're like, we are fighting Nazis is the same as fighting earthquakes and floods. Floods have plagued every single one thing that they have rarely gotten down is how to, if you're going to build all this cool stuff, how to not have water come and kick your ass. If you get too hubris. And so it is like the Matrix. And so in many ways, after being plugged in for 20 years, everybody's being unplugged. And that presidential elections are just basically like talent show puppet content, like puppet Coliseum stage. It's like the talent show carnival of the election. That when they're like, we are gonna move beyond dictators and kings and have a basic bill of human rights. And they gave that a go. We're at like the end of that. Whatever Bill of Rights we've had for 130 years. It's like the planet's Bill of Rights is up for negotiation right now. The ocean's Bill of Rights, the sky's Bill of Rights, the animals' Bill of Rights, the human beings' Bill of Rights. It's like we're all working out a brand new Bill of Rights for the next 1,000 years. Or 10 years, 100 years. Don't freak out with numbers. And it is weird to me. Well, like one of the easiest things they've ever had was as governments and religions are growing and populating the planet, one of the ways to get more tribal that has always been easiest has always been like one of them skin color or basic facial features. And so the whole like giant miscommunicative war over skin color is in my opinion one of the most caveman-y fucking things we're dealing with. Like we're still splitting caveman hairs over racial shit. Like I said, it seemed like in the 90s we were moving at like past like, hey, we're going towards world peace. So yeah, if, like arguing over where me and my people had lived under the sun for hundreds of thousands of like skin pigment is some of the dumbest, like that is what the And so like I can see it clearly where like it's the stock market and the TV where it has been stoking the like race, the color, the religion, where like there is some like they're trying to sell security systems at home. Like there's always been this like underlying you need security. And so at some point it's like, you know who the bad people are? It was the black people. Oh no, you know who the bad people are? It was the brown people, it was the Muslims. You know who it was like you know who the like the whole like the idea of white supremacy KKK is just fucking crazy. Or it's like, no, you know what it is? It's MS-13, it's the Mexicans, it's those brown people. Like there's just been this weird fucking rotating and like Manson was like, hey man, I'm gonna start a giant where I'm just gonna reignite where everybody's fighting over their pigmentation of their skin and the geography of their family bloodline under the sun, which is like the most caveman-y shit ever. And I remember as a kid, I think, unless I had as an idea of a science fiction book where like the people that warred with each other just warred with each other over their eye color. And that when they interpreted the life system, they were like, oh, God favors brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. Just like how insane it all is. And so while having civilization, the TV screen and the stock market have definitely been selling us a boogeyman. Like horror movies, zombies, all these like, let me show you how unstable or how unethical or how unjust this world is. So I feel super lucky. And I've been madly in love with the idea of building new cities of the future forever. They even had a show called The Jetsons, where like people lived in the future. And taking care of the planet always seemed like a good idea. And understanding it more. And to me, you can clearly see it's almost like whether it be overt, covert, or from the planets, that the George Floyd murder happened at 100,000 mark of COVID deaths. And that the Breonna Taylor protests and riots tonight came like 2 or 3 days after we hit 200,000 coronavirus deaths. Like, can't go to the pub, can't go to church. You can either go to work, you can go protest, you can go to a rally, you can go get food. Yeah, you can go to the movie theater if you want to. Oh, they have been doing some football games, but as I talked about earlier, that it seems like they're just economically whitewash everything. And so that in a place where you're opening tons of schools and colleges and stuff during a pandemic situation, there's no system really set up to record all the people that have gone positive or all the. And so during the September experiment of schools and universities, opening back up, like the data system to even monitor who is or isn't positive, who is or isn't sick, like whatever has happened during the first 3 weeks of September, Wall Street has not stepped up to tell you guys. They've not been going, all right, here's how it's going down. Here's the overall situation. Here are the trends. And so that I've said, I don't think that shit is coming until October, but they can avoid a major plan on how to deal with this ongoing situation that will strengthen into flu season into the fucking winter. And as the Leo King pointed out, last time Pluto was around this spot in Capricorn, you had the Russian plague riots of 1771, where the bubonic plague killed like a bunch of people really fast in the 1771. And they had a big city. And then after they didn't like the way the government handled the bubonic plague lockdown, the whole situation. So the whole city rioted, and between the bubonic plague, and the lockdowns, 50,000 people died in one Russian city in 1771. Where that like one singular combination of Pluto and Capricorn event that was 248 years ago, you had a bubonic plague type thingy break out. And you had like a city big enough. Was it Warsaw? I forget. But like cities in the 1770s were a lot smaller than they are now. So to lose 50,000 people was a big fucking deal in the plague and the riots. And so I don't know how to, like, to black people, I do not know how to express that. No matter what stories they unroll out over the next 40 days, please don't protest. Please don't riot. Although I don't think it's black people that are doing the rioting and the burning and shit. I think that it's Asian tours who then show it on the TV that day to like, the world in flames and crisis. I'm saying that like black people and Hispanic people are getting hit harder by the plague death rates of the coronavirus. It seems like Hispanic people, it's like 35% mortality, death, the people that died. Black, it's like 37%. And then for like white people, it's like 23% of the people that got it and died. So whatever the fuck they do in Portland, or whatever story, the next video that come out where, so that's what I'm saying. So like the police fraternity, it's like 50,000 different towns, cities, groups over the whole US of A. And so out of all 50,000, you just gotta get like one Hydra, and even a small Hydra group, to be like, yeah, we will have something happen and have it be videotaped, a heinous act so bad, it will make the other 50,000 fraternal police who are cool, who are help keeping calm and peace in the streets, make their jobs 100 times harder and ruin the relationships between the community they police and the people. And that when the Europeans came over and killed 28 million North, Central, and South Americans, and then eventually started America, you know, that like slaves were brought over from Africa. So like that was part of the birth of like America, where like The European system wiped out the America population, brought over African population, and then had a feudal where it was definitely best to be rich. It was definitely best to have money. And it was definitely best to have friends or family who dealt with people who had firearms. That's why, like, I could go on Ken Burns style for years about the transition from the bow and arrow to the gun. But that is such a major, the harnessing of electricity and the human transition from the bow and arrow to the gun to electricity. Like, that is such a giant gunpowder, which led to rockets. And so out of 370 million people, I'm at this weird fucking point that, like, out of everything that is killing Americans the most every day for the last 9 months, it does seem like it is this virus. And so, still as Planetary Defense Commander, I think the peak was it 2,500? I don't even remember, like, the most deaths we've had in a day in New York or around the world from the virus in the USA. And it seems like definitely if we just keep this up and go for herd immunity over the next 3-year span, we will lose anywhere between 1 to 3 million Americans. If we just dick butt clusterfuck it, free market style for 3 years, we're probably going to lose 1 to 3 million Americans. So yeah, I'm definitely hanging on to Christmas this early in the holiday season. No matter what happens, I'm going to try not to let anyone knock me out of my Christmas spirit the rest of the way. So even you think about, like, as we're all human creatures, the idea of religion over, like, I'm a Christian, but I understand it all really well. And so the idea of, like, Christians judging all the religions and beliefs of Africa, when, like, for 5,000 to 10,000 years, dude, they didn't even hear the story of Jesus. I guess what I'm trying to say is, as a Christian, it gets frustrating because people will use their knowledge of Christianity to kind of shut down their ability to understand how mankind's 30,000 year process to understand who we are, how we got here. It's crazy shit, man. And that's why they said it's like the Battle of the Gods, 100,000 year event. And I believe that God is good. I believe that God is good. I believe that God is great. I believe there are many great magical things on earth. There have been many moments of joy, and the human spirit has done amazing things again and again and again and again and again and again and again. So in this battle of the gods going into the holiday season 2020, my Christmas pilot light is lit. As of the next 5 days, we meet the ghosts of Christmas past. And I feel like energetically, I got like Django on one side, I got John Wick on the other. And I'm like, look, everybody play defense, I'd stay home a lot over the next 2 months. I would shut the fuck up about politics. Everybody go vote if you want to vote. Don't vote if you don't want to vote. If you do believe in democracy as we know it in any form, is how I do it. And technically, nobody's got to talk about politics for the next month. Just vote. That's it. And we'll do the best we can with what happens next. But now we're negotiating for, is there even going to be an election? Like, one side is basically saying the election has been rigged. It is either I win or it was rigged. We're 40 days ahead of the game. And never before in a presidential election have I heard one of the sides go, hey, here's the deal. Let me give you your options. I win or it was rigged. And there are no other fucking options. That was like today's message. The question was asked, would you support or be into a timely, peaceful transition process if it happened? And they've talked many times about how it's I win or it's rigged, and I get 12 years. That in this ongoing negotiation of the future, that seems to be the deal that is on the table right now. It's the sitting president is like, I win or it's rigged. And I deserve to be here for 12 more years. Or 8 more years. 12 total. Which is like a totally brand new, never done thing before. So that is the energy of the moment. And at the same time, you have a case that has been built up, Breonna Taylor, that the main two stories of the last post-Memorial Day 100,000 COVID death point have been the murder of George Floyd and the murder or death of Breonna Taylor. And so the George Floyd fueled a large part of 100,000 COVID deaths to 200,000. And now that we've hit 200,000, the Breonna Taylor story is fanning the flames. And I definitely think people are going to be losing their minds over the next 40 days. And however that manages itself and manifests itself in personal interactions in real life, I'm like super anti-protesting right now, that it's a trap. Being lured out to protest is a trap. And having large groups of people, it's mob mentality. Like, there's going to be no awesome instant or near future event that is going to follow a protest that's like, yay, we protested and this awesome thing happened. It's just like trying to get everybody to stay cool over the next 4 days. Like, stop protesting, stop fighting, stop arguing about politics. Like, there's no fucking point for people to talk about politics the next like, it's been super talked out. Unless major actual events or ideas are proposed, like, we are definitely right now, like, we are in an absolute negotiation for whatever the future is and is going to be. That we need a 10-year plan. So we're dealing with the ghost of Christmas past. And in that same way, it's like we're dealing with the whole, like, ghost of Christmas past. Who are main characters? Biden and Trump. With all the shit that is going on, the ghost of Christmas past presidents. It's like a Saturday Night Live skit. The dead presidents are, where they had the cartoon, they were going around saving people. Saturday Night Live, the presidents. No, I think they were live, but like the presidents. It was a cartoon. The presidents went around saving people. Abraham Lincoln, Jimmy Carter. And so 2020, this super action sci-fi thriller natural disaster movie that, like, yeah, the ghost of Christmas past is Biden and Trump for all the shit that's happening. That, in my mind, without disrespecting anyone, it is like, this is the baby boomers, like the, almost like the living inheritance transfer. Like, hey guys, everybody from the under generations, here's the future you guys are inheriting, the next 100 years. Here you go. Here's your future. So that, and that's why I've said it's a grand transition. It's like the last generation, the big handoff, passing of the torch. And so, who do we have to lead us through Ghost of Christmas Past, passing of the torch? Biden and Trump, two 70-year-old dudes. And that the healthcare system is super out of whack. The monetary creation system is super out of whack. Like, everything's kind of super out of whack. I'm chain smoking. My beer consumption is up, but like I said, I don't know when my Christmas mood starts. I don't know when I get into the Christmas spirit, but I'm in it. Like, my eyes have Christmas tree stars in them. I'm going to have a good Christmas. So yeah, I don't know. So then, like, Trump, yeah, like two American grandpas were leading us to the grand transition. He's up there giving out speeches every day like there's Jesus on the Mount. And I don't think the speeches are helping. Although I'm going live and I don't know if this is helping. I hope it is. It's helping me talk to you. Oh yeah, so Pluto with Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto being right, like all this is so 100,000 year event. Like Pluto is wealth. So it is the transfer of Trump and Biden representing just the wealthiest families of the last 100 years, 80 years for sure. Before the digital age. Pluto is a planet of wealth. So technically, the future is being worked out for all the grandkids and kids of all the baby boomers. Like, what are we going to do with the next 10 years, 100 years? And Trump does kind of seem like the angry, kind of racist grandpa or uncle. He's always mad at somebody. Like, he'll tell you who all the shitheads are. And so Stay Cool September, calling everybody a bunch of names isn't helping. It's like I have chat open and I'm not reading it, but I'm saying that like I've definitely been at the point where people can call me names and don't really affect me. And that's with my own personal beliefs. I don't think calling people names really helps unless it's like a funny, cheersy dialogue. Like, I know the whole dehumanizing name calling, that is just a shitty move. All things that human beings you could do with your energy and your words. We're at a weird fucking spot. He wins, it's rigged, and he gets 12 years. That is, from what I understand, what the deal is that's being offered. With Saturn retrograding back to Pluto, but I don't think he's the richest man on the planet. I would guess you have at least 30 trillionaires, maybe 100. Could be smaller. You've got thousands of billionaires. Yeah, these are crazy days indeed. It is like an X-Men, Marvel, Universe, DC Comics, romantic comedy crossover trilogy. And somehow at the end of the baby boomer run, we lost the space shuttle, we lost rock and roll concerts, we lost funerals in churches. like so far, this part of the deal has not been that great for the people. People have been getting the short end of the stick as everybody works it out at the top. And I, wealthy people have feelings and like and dislike people as well. Thank you, MH. The planets, it's like belief systems. It just is like Mars has always been referred to or associated with war, and Venus is associated with fertility, feminine woman. That like even in Greek mythology, that like Hades was part of like the underworld. The underworld created money. You know, like in the Bible, where it's like you can't charge, you're not supposed to charge people interest. That like that whole battle of like interest, debt, that whole the spirit of creating wealth. That seems to have come, from the classical mythologies. Like Pluto was the banker of the gods. And having Eris, a beautiful woman causing discord amongst all the beautiful women. And then Pluto, who controls all the money and the wealth. And Lilith of the moon, apparently still mad at God and Adam and Eve. Or maybe it's Adam. It does seem weird, symbiotic, like our belief systems over the thousands of years created our world around us. And that although we were made aware when Jupiter and Saturn came together in 2000 that it was worthy of a celebration, that like now with Jupiter and Saturn doing this amazing thing in the sky, and Saturn even being Christmas. Remember, we had a Christmas eclipse last year. And then you have Saturn and Jupiter at the equinox on top of each other in the sky going to Aquarius 4 days before Christmas. And even the Charles Dickens Ghosts of Christmas Past, Present, and Future, the rich and the money and the wealthy, they were always the character in this Christmas story. And in this Ghost of Christmas Past, Biden and Trump as uncle of the grand transition over the next 40 days, it definitely has Ghostbuster vibes to it. So it's like the Christmas version of The Devil Went Down to Georgia, 2020 style. Yay. I mean, I could be wrong. It could all fall apart. The people who are like, hey, the end times are here. The end times are coming. Maybe I'm wrong. They're going to be right. I doubt it. Did we get hit by that asteroid yet? And I watched a bunch of people on YouTube be like, hey, man, or across the internet be like, there's a close by asteroid coming. I did not make any singular videos focused on that because I haven't been that worried about an asteroid since 2013 February when the one went over Russia and blew out all the windows. The asteroids seem to have been under control. And so I try to focus on the thing where you get like body count, like the fact that we're still at 1,000 people a day for coronavirus as Planetary Defense Commander, leader of Asteroid Fight Club. That is... No, I don't think we're getting hit by the asteroid, and it may have already passed. Check out Astronomy Live. I think, like I said, he verified that yesterday. But we're still losing like 1,000 people a day to the virus. And then this ghost of Christmas past in 2020. We have the ghost of Charlie Daniels, got the ghost of Kenny Rogers, got the ghost of Gale Sayers, we got the ghost of Black Panther, got the ghost of Trump's brother. Got the ghost of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So we're like spooky, Beetlejuicean October, which we aren't even at yet, man. Pluto goes direct in October 6th, I think. We have a full moon on somewhere around the 1st of October. But Billie Eilish, Terminator, and Blade Runner 7, Audrey Hepburn, Ariana, hopefully will be good music partners to take into the Christmas season. And I gotta confess and say that in 2018 when my stepdad died, that Christmas was fucking horrible. Fucking horrible. I remember driving around totally bawling my eyes out. Just driving around like 3 in the morning, crying my eyes out. Feeling like I was gonna die, I wanna die. And Ariana Grande's song Breathing came on the radio on my Mustang. First time I ever heard it. Had like rivers of tears. I felt like that song saved my life. And then December of 2019, Billie Eilish's song Everything I Ever Wanted. Like I didn't really know who she was until that song hit the radio. And December of 2019 was super fucking crazy. So in many ways, I feel like Billie helped save my life in December of 2019. So there are methods to this madness of whatever living angels showed up to help me in my Christmas moments of ghosts of past, present, and future. I definitely appreciate them. I'm aware the internets have lots of theories on all their stuff because people definitely like speculating on the most beautiful woman in the world. Like the whole world gets into that shit. And I think the Elvis of that was Lady Di, Princess Diana. Like, if you're young, where she had to be the one woman of all the women that I've ever known of on earth, where like when she was alive and around, it seemed like 95% of the people liked her. She just seemed like a good spirit, a good person, wanted to do good. She died in a limousine, but like, she seemed to have like a very angelic spirit. Anywho. And I've had great grandmothers, and my mom and her three sisters have always been super, I mean, over the majority of most of the Christmases, they're good Christmas people. So what angels will be around when Christmas shows up? I don't know. I do know that Billie Eilish's birthday is on December 18th. And then my birthday is on December 19th. So technically, we have like a 48-hour awesome Sagittarius window of celebration. And then on the 20th and the 21st is the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. And then they go into Aquarius. And then like 3-4 days later, you have Christmas. So I'm definitely prepared for October to be fucking super weird. And the alien xenomorph type shape has shown up in our clouds multiple times, especially with Hurricane Teddy. We call it Teddy, but it looked like the alien from Jim Cameron's Aliens or Ridley Scott's Aliens. And then you had the whole virus component to it where it goes through the salivas of us. So there may be an alien predator vibe to October. Which makes it all like Ready Player One. I don't know if you guys saw that, Steven Spielberg, where he combined like every single mythology into one world that it coexisted together. And that is pretty much what 2020 is, especially the holiday season. Like, it is officially Renaissance festival time. And that we're all having to Renaissance at our home as we head towards Halloween. And then Thanksgiving. And then Christmas. And then New Year. And last year at New Year, I was just here all by myself. But when I went to the store to buy cigarettes, my neighbor ran and caught me and gave me a giant plate with turkey and stuffing and beans and cornbread. It was like, Happy Thanksgiving. And that was super American, awesome, cool. So yeah, I guess this is a warning, y'all. My unstable period has me definitely ramping up for the holiday season. And I'm in Christmas spirit. Like my dad and stepdad before me, I'm big on Christmas. And through it all, we've come together to write some great songs that capture the season and spirit and make it better. And remind us of all the Christmases and people that have gone by before us. All right, one more cigarette. I'm gonna finish the beer. And then who knows what I'm gonna do? Because the energy is, like I said, it's just so incredible and intense right now. We're trapped in a car with Mars and Pluto and Eris and Lilith and Saturn, VP113, Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, like, we're all in this car. We're all getting cabin fever inside the car that isn't moving. And that we're watching, part of the political baby boomer system. Even before the plague hit, it's like a giant election show thingy. So they have it planned for the big finales, like fireworks. And so even before the plague hit, it's like they're still setting off fireworks they'd planned a year ago for the October surprise and all that shit. Like, so all the things that were planned before the virus caught everybody off guard, we're still like, that whole script is like being unwound before our eyes. And it's downer. Definitely downer. Yeah, kindness. And it is up to the people and the rich to get our shit together enough to where we can have pubs and churches open. But for the next 3 months, I am going to be recommending and practicing not protesting, not going out unless you have a really great venue and situation to go to. Like, I'm hoping for, at least for Halloween, I plan to go out and walk around, and somehow it would probably be smart to incorporate a mask in my costume. So I do plan a weird Halloween adventure. And I'll probably go live, I guess. I gotta start working on my costume now. What am I gonna wear? And then, like, this is the first winter of the virus, so we're gonna have like a big November Thanksgiving reassessment of, we will know a lot more about the virus and how and everything in Thanksgiving. And I've said I think lockdowns are coming back in October. We'll see if I'm wrong. And you have to keep up a basic level of civility to even have an election. And so, I don't have control over the narrative. I'm not a major player in the Biden, Trump, baby boomer show. They may just ratchet up the hate and the division and anger for 40 more days. So if that happens, 50-50 chance we even have a fucking election. But like, if you don't have an election, then what? Everybody just runs their prepper spots and then waits till what? Like, you have to have enough fellowship and brotherhood to even have an election. But by closing down the churches and the pubs, and if you can only go to work, protest, or rally, then it's definitely a stay tuned situation. God bless everyone. I love you guys. You guys are great. Stay cool.